Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rukakadash, Bracha done. So, like I said, I'm just limiting how much I report on here. But I will say this disclaimer. I report, you decide. And so they do this every now and then. It's no more of a surge than it would normally be. But we are in the time of Jacob's trouble nonetheless, though. So our people once again are the face of exposure as, you know, they are talking about policies on illegal immigrants. Gavin Newsom talking about microchipping immigrants, you know, that his proponents are looking to microchip children, you know, and we do know that Trump did say that, you know, before. Anyhow, White House officials to visit Mexico, Guatemala to address root cause of migrant surge. So, you know, you got these liars in place, you know, so here we go. See if this plays.
Well, children presenting at our border who are fleeing violence, who are fleeing prosecution, who are fleeing terrible situations is not a crisis. We feel that it is our responsibility to humanely approach this circumstance and make sure they are treated and put in conditions that are safe. I will say that you know, these photos show what we've long been saying, which is that these Border Patrol facilities are not places made for children. They are not places that we want children to be staying for an extended period of time. Our alternative is to send children back on this treacherous journey. That is not, in our view, the right choice to make. And so our focus now is on solutions and putting in place policies, including expediting processing at the border, opening up additional facilities, something that you've seen developments on over the past several days, and there'll be certainly more on. Restarting our Central American Minors Program, which was stopped in 2017. Thousands of kids should be eligible to apply for that, so they're not making this journey. So our focus is on solutions and implementing them as quickly as possible.
The president said he is open to going to the border at some point. Do you have any sense if...
So either way, though, they're going to make it look like Biden's there to save the day. You know, that his policy is going to be different than that of Donald Trump. But you and I both know, though, that what they're really going to do, though, is microchip everyone. You know, and that's what those centers are really for, is to microchip everyone. Yeah, they'll let you in there. But they're going to microchip you because that's what's going on. Portland officials gear up to vaccinate the homeless against the Crown Royal, but it won't be easy. Yeah, so, you know, if you're homeless, they're coming after you, man. You know, again, that's what these devils have planned, and, you know, they've been bulldozing a lot of homeless places here in Reading. With more than 20% of the population in Oregon already vaccinated, and the rest of the state being phased in the eligible to receive the vaccine over the next 6 weeks, some advocates are wondering, when will Portland's homeless population receive the vaccine? So you see how this devil's coming down having great wrath, you know, because he knows they have a short time. And so we know that that's more significant considering the fact that the mark of the beast is going to be made mandatory very shortly here. But nonetheless, though, you know, see, there we go. Portland's pilot program removes waste from RVs of houseless, you know. And then you got this. Vaccinated Illinoisans won't count against restaurant capacity limits. So basically, you know, the restaurants are going to still remain closed anyways. So it didn't matter. Oh, you know, I report, you decide. But, you know, nonetheless, though, this has been a huge cover-up, especially here on YouTube. So I'll just read the article. And if this gets taken down, look for me on BitChute. U.S. Health Agency raises concern over AstraZeneca trial data. AstraZeneca may have used outdated information, the results of a large-scale Crown Royal vaccine trial. A U.S. health agency said on Tuesday, casting fresh doubt on the shot, its potential U.S. rollout, and plunging its developers once again into controversy. You think? Yeah. But let's not talk about things like pulmonary embolism, because it's been declared safe and effective, but missteps dog AstraZeneca's Crown Royal vaccine. So, I report, you decide, but that's just it. It's been declared safe, right? AstraZeneca's release of encouraging data Monday about its Crown Royal vaccine from its U.S. trial raised hopes that the drug company could bury doubts about the shot and put a troubled rollout behind it. But hours later, U.S. officials issued an unusual statement expressing concern. So either way, though, I report, you decide, because this has been a huge cover-up over here. Five ways in which the EU mismanaged vaccine policy. Whatever the reason, not as many Crown Royal vaccines were delivered to the EU in the last few months as compared to the deliveries to the Israeli state. The United States and the United Kingdom, even proponents of greater EU centralization like Renew MEP, have criticized the EU for this, saying that the reason for the EU's lackluster performance is because the contracts Europe negotiated with the pharmaceutical companies, which he thinks are extremely unbalanced. They are precise on pricing and liabilities, but weak and vague on supply and on timing, and offer escape routes. See, pretty much this devil wants to make sure that everybody's got the goddamn vaccine, and so they put up articles like this, and hey, it's like the Hollywood and Vine almost everywhere you fucking go around here. People lining up to take the shot, man. It's just, it fucking amazes me, Hey, it's going to be one and the same when the microchip is made mandatory. The mark of the beast. And then you got this one. American health regulators slam AstraZeneca for releasing incomplete trial data. So, again, pretty soon maybe AstraZeneca can stop blaming European governments for skulking skepticism about the company's Crown Royal jab and start blaming the U.S. Or maybe the drug-making giant might consider accepting some responsibility, considering the reaction to the rare blood clots. Very rare, yeah, it's very, very rare, right. Is the first safety issue to mar the jab's reputation. And hey, these devils, they don't give a damn about their bad reputation. They're going to still make sure that they want to stick it in you, Hey, what part of this devil's out to kill you, don't you understand? One day after proclaiming to the world that an extremely true and credible study based in the U.S., but carried out on both the U.S. and across South America, had shown it's to be 79% effective at preventing Crown Royal. Yeah, and many people ended up with Crown Royal not long after receiving the jab, and even the second jab. Yeah, I report, you decide. But hey, it's really about the push of the microchip, so look at this article. Hey, look at how wonderful the microchip is, the mark of the beast. Missing cat reunited with family after 14 years thanks to the wonderful microchip. The thing that causes cancer, Yeah. So they put stories up here. A missing cat has been reunited with his family after going missing almost 14 years ago. But now, 70 years old, was returned Bateman after going missing from a family's home. So the microchip was there to save the day 14 years later. I bet people would love to get one in their children. And these devils that are going down and fucking getting the shot, be willing to microchip their children. Hey, Brooke Shields is ready to microchip her children. Crown Royal surge triggers lockdowns, angry protests in Europe. So this is what's really going on, People are really angry about this. They're tired of this shit, because this has been going on for so long. See if this will play. Well, there it is. Alright. Slovakia, it just didn't seem like it wanted to play. Ugh, even queers don't like it. And you don't think it's going to get this bad over here. Why do you think that security was really sent to the White House and to the Capitals? That whole White House thing was all staged. They know that the protests are going to get violent, so they're doing preliminary cautions. And that's the real reason why they've locked things down. They expect people to be outraged. They're going to do a second lockdown, and it's going to be a nationwide lockdown. Don't think for 1 second that everything's going to be reopening, because look at the Florida declaring a state of emergency. And Elder Zakan went there, so I'm going to try to get that up, you know, and it's on his channel as well, how the West Coast. But either way, though, he just went there into Miami. So, yeah. This is what's coming down the pike. You see, we are in the time of Jacob's trouble, where one kingdom should stand up against another, you know, with sword, having no regard for their neighbors, man. We're in these times, man. And the Passover coming up in a little less than a week, you know, it just shows you how violent things are really going to be. Things are going to get turned up. But hey, you know, while we're on the subject, you know, recall Newsom, you know, may as well see how he's doing, you know. Well, oh man, he just got lying again. Well, shouldn't be that surprising.
Gavin Newsom was caught lying again, and this time it's absolutely pathetic, as opposed to the other times he lied. Well, I don't know. You're going to have to find out in just a few moments here on the Next News Network. I'm Elijah Schaefer, the host of Blaze TV's Slightly Offensive, filling in here. Real fast, would you please hit that red button below to subscribe to this channel as we get into our story from Hank Bahrain from the Daily Wire, who reports that last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom remarked to CNN during an interview saying, "I've been living through Zoom school and all of the challenges related to it," adding, "It's brutal." Newsom did not tell CNN viewers, however, that his children have been enrolled in private schools.
Yep.
You talked about schools reopening. You set this April 1st goal to reopen classrooms for young children by offering financial incentives for schools. When do you expect most students, K through 12, to return to in-person learning? And what do you see as the single most important holdup to that happening, since we have seen so much science suggesting that with masks and ventilation, etc., there's no reason for schools to be closed?
Yeah, look, I've been a strong advocate for safely getting our kids back in person. For I have 4 young kids myself. I've been living through Zoom school and all of the challenge related to it.
That's brutal.
We put out a detailed proposal to our legislature. It's brutal.
The governor in late October revealed that his kids' Sacramento private school was phasing out of virtual learning in favor of a hybrid approach. Students returned to the classroom full-time in November. The Washington Free Beacon reported this, that although the report says that Newsom's children have been full-time since November, Newsom was saying by early December that his children's school had shut down again after briefly opening for in-person learning. According to Politico, Newsom's children were back to in-person learning as of mid-February, but it's not clear how long they have been attending in person. Reopen California Schools founder Jonathan Zackerson suggested that Newsom's efforts to reopen schools are connected to the recall campaign against him that will likely be on the ballot. Zackerson stated that he's not trying to help kids in the state. He's trying to pretend schools are open to campaign for his recall. That's incredibly frustrating parents than the feelings that they have at the moment. Newsom acknowledged on Tuesday that the recall looks like it's going on the ballot. On Wednesday, the organizers of the recall efforts turned in the last batch of signature petitions to the registrars of California's 58 counties on Wednesday. They need 1,495,709 valid signatures to qualify the recall election for the ballot. The registrars have until April 29th to verify the signatures and report the results to the California Secretary of State, CNN reported.
So there you have it, man. It's getting really close here. So we may see a recall, and that's going to be really fucking funny. But hey, you know, may as well talk about the Valley Yehoshaphat. U.S. occupation brings out 300 tankers loaded with stolen Syrian oil from Hasaka to Iraq, because they covet the oil fields. The U.S. occupation forces have brought out hundreds of tankers loaded with stolen oil from the oil fields in Syrian Al Jazeera to Iraq territories. Civil sources from Syrian Arab News Agency corresponded that U.S. occupation forces brought out on Tuesday morning a convoy including 300 tankers loaded with stolen oil from Syrian oil fields into Iraqi lands via illegitimate Al-Mutane crossing. U.S. occupation forces have brought tens of convoys loaded with stolen Syrian oil from Hasaka countryside to Iraqi lands over the past months in the framework over their schemes to steal the Syrian resources and deprive the Syrian people from them. And that's not the only thing that they've been stealing from them, but hey, in the Syria, the war of hunger has taken over from the war of guns. These armed terrorist groups of, supplied by the United States and Mossad mostly. Great dollops of hypocrisy invariably accompany expressions over concern by outside powers from the well-being of the Syrian people. But even by these low standards, a new record for self-serving dishonesty is set up by this Caesar Civilian Protection Act, the new U.S. law imposing the harshest sanctions in the world on Syria and bringing millions of Syrians to the brink of famine. And so if they can starve out this whole country here, what do you think they're going to do to people that, they don't really want to receive the jab, or they don't really, want to get the identification device in order to be able to buy or sell? What do you think they're going to do? Supposedly aiming at safeguarding ordinary Syrians from violent repression by President Bashar al-Assad, the law is given a humanitarian garnish by naming it after the Syrian military photographer who filmed and smuggled out of the country pictures of thousands of Syrians killed by the government, aka the white helmets, which are part of the terrorists. But instead of protecting Syrians, as it claims, the Caesar Act is a measure of collective punishment that is impoverishing people in government and opposition-held areas alike, which is just legitimate Syrian government. So, the Syrian refugee crisis just keeps on getting worse and worse, and those that have returned to Syria just to be starved out. What do you think this devil's going to do over here? Think about it. He's coming down having great wrath. We're in that time now, the beginning of birth pains. So I'm just going to read out of here. And like I said, hopefully Adawan Raza, this video stays up here. But if it doesn't, look for me on BitChute, where I can go into more details. And, this may be posted there as well, because I'm not so sure about this. I read some articles that they may not like. This devil has been covering up, you can't really get too much into side effects, because I have to tell you that getting the shot is wonderful, that you should get it too. Hey, I ask you this question: do you want to die? There's so many ways to die. They call it post-mortem. It's an old Slayer song. I highly recommend downloading and listening to that, because that's about where we're at anyways. Who you are, who you want, you're only after death. And he who sat upon the Mount of Olives, this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, what shall these things be? And when shall the signs of thy coming and of the end of the world? Which is talking about the end of Esau Edom. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. A lot of people claim to be, to have the truth, and yet they're full of lies and robberies. You got many bootleg camps out there saying that, the microchip, that's not the mark of the beast. And you should go get this injection. And they'll deceive many into getting it. You already know that IUIC didn't warn its members. ISUPK is telling everybody to get the jab. Yeah, they're deceiving many, is alright. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. You just seen that. and see that you not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So we're just in the beginning of this. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And we're seeing it. There shall be famines. Well, I just read you an article about what's going on in Syria alone. Not to mention Yemen and other places. And pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Yeah, there was a volcano in Iceland after an earthquake. You know, there's been earthquakes everywhere. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And don't forget the tornado pop-ups. And here we go. This is what's happening, because you see them going after the homeless to make sure that they've got the jab too. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And you should be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Yeah, because who's getting their videos shut down? Who's getting censored here? You know? Only the elect is. And then many shall be offended. A lot of people ain't going to really want to stay with this because they can't deal with the persecution. And shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets, aka false camps, etc., shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, again, man, you know, we don't know the names, you know, or, you know, pretty much, well, I'm not going to get the jab. It's okay that my other members are getting the jab. I'm not going to tell them not to get the jab. I'm just not going to say anything about it. But he shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. So, you know, we're going to have to go through all of this. We're going to be saved. And how are we going to be saved? We're going to be saved scarcely. It's going to look like we receive the judgment too. We're going to see the nuclear destruction come. And via the internet, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. And that's happened. You know, you see nothing but judgments happening. As we hasten unto the coming of the day, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And as we get closer and closer to the Passover, we're going to see a lot more judgments pour out. So I hope all this has been edifying like everything else. So those are just a few articles, things that are going on. And like I said, I'm primarily on BitChute now because, hey, they've been taking down my videos right and left. Older ones too, and then just giving me a strike for older videos that have been up for a while, you know, on all the channels. I mean, I'm up to Israelite Foreigner 7, this is Israelite Foreigner 3, while I still have it, you know. Just look for me on BitChute, Israelite Foreigner Redding at BitChute. Shalom, Brakat the Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Wa Ba Babal, Brakatham Yehovah elect, Shalom.